I'm 37M and 6 months in, struggling with issues relating to my 26F partner binge drinking and not enforcing boundaries. I am a 37-year-old man who has been in a relationship with a 26-year-old woman for approximately 6 months, and I am starting to encounter difficulties regarding certain aspects of the relationship. I am struggling to determine if my feelings of concern are justified or if I am being overly dramatic and controlling. I am trying to keep this discussion as concise as possible for the sake of anonymity, but I realize it may be lengthy, so I apologize in advance. It is important to clarify that I am not someone who can be easily deceived or fooled in romantic contexts. I have experienced much in my life. I am not desperate for companionship, and I generally assert myself. I acknowledge that my age advantage creates a difference in maturity and power dynamics. I can tolerate a considerable amount, provided there is some level of integrity involved. Currently, we are very much in love with each other, spending significant time together, frequently communicating throughout the day, and demonstrating openness. I do not believe she is concealing anything substantial from me beyond the following details. I mention this because, upon reviewing everything in written form, if I were unfamiliar with her or myself, I might conclude that she is deceitful and manipulative and that I am simply being naive or controlling. I hope that is not the case, but things are quite complicated nonetheless. Summary. She resides with 3 male housemates, one of whom is her long-term boyfriend, with whom she has an open relationship that began after she discovered his consistent infidelity. I was aware of this status when we began our relationship, and I was not seeking anything overly serious. According to her, they are not currently sexually involved, and I accept this information as true. He is seeing someone else, and they have essentially become exes who live together out of convenience and friendship. As unusual as this arrangement is, it is not the primary concern, but does play a role in the context. I am the second person she has become sexually involved with, at least by her own choice. She lacks a large social circle and largely depends on her housemates and her boyfriend for friendship and support, which is problematic as they do not genuinely support her. She goes out of her way to assist them, covering expenses for shopping, cleaning, and meals, while, as I understand it, they are generally disruptive, lazy, and unhelpful housemates. In my experience, this behavior typifies that of a typical young man sharing a house. She admits to having difficulties regarding her tolerance of others treating her poorly, which she brushes aside. She struggles with anxiety, especially related to disappointing others, leading to situations where she accepts mistreatment as normal and forgives individuals for transgressions ranging from mild misbehavior to significant breaches of trust. She also grapples with binge drinking. While she does not drink daily, or even weekly at present, when she does drink, she goes excessively overboard and experiences blackouts. She has acknowledged that this is a serious issue she is working to control, with varying degrees of success. I am making an effort to remain patient and avoid appearing controlling about it. Historically, she has gotten so inebriated multiple times that she has said or done things that have resulted in lost friendships, expressing regret and shame for her actions. More troubling is that in the past few years, she has encountered instances where male friends in her wider social circle have exploited her when she was inebriated, non-consensual incidents occurring while she was mostly or completely unconscious, which has led to some of these friendships being severed when, thankfully, people around her excluded them from their social group. Alarmingly, this has occurred with a current housemate on 2 occasions, where both were intoxicated. He took her to his room and touched her inappropriately. At a minimum, her memories are fragmented. In both instances, she essentially dismissed it despite it being clearly inappropriate. After these incidents, she pursued a romantic interest with this individual, where she effectively sought him out for sexual encounters, while he resisted due to awkwardness in their living arrangement and his desire for a genuine relationship with her. She explained that her interest stemmed from her lack of other attractive prospects after opening her relationship with her dishonest boyfriend, and that this guy became an outlet for her attraction due to her anxiety surrounding meeting new people. Several months after all this transpired, we began dating, and slowly, the aforementioned information was disclosed to me. One evening, while discussing her previous experiences with dating apps and how many unsolicited explicit photos she received while using them. I requested to see one, leading her to share her phone and show me a recent conversation with a stranger. Though she had never met him, she had flirted with him on Tinder and Snapchat, and they had continued chatting even after she and I became involved. As I navigated through the messages, I came across explicit and quite disturbing exchanges they had engaged in over the months, such as him proposing to come over and watch her housemates take advantage of her, while she responded with details about our intimate life. He made statements expressing his desire to restrain her and inflict sexual violence, which she, at least verbally, appears to tolerate. She rationalized this behavior as having drunk fun with her housemates while teasing this individual, which heightened my concern, as I cannot fathom why any reasonable individual would engage in such actions and why her housemates would complicate matters by essentially encouraging sexual misconduct against her via Snapchat. She acknowledged that her actions were immature and nonsensical, but described it as banter with this individual for amusement while intoxicated. This situation caused friction between us because I value privacy, and although she owes me no loyalty given our agreed-upon openness, I found it troubling that she was communicating with someone in that explicit manner about her and me, leading to feelings of hurt as we seemed to be cultivating a deeper emotional connection despite the non-exclusive nature of our relationship. I also became concerned about the fact that there was a man who believed she possessed these violent sexual fantasies. This could be perilous for a young woman to disclose to a stranger online. My fears were validated when, after she blocked this man on Snapchat, he managed to discover her real name and began stalking her through Facebook, which detailed her workplace. He even approached her unexpectedly at a concert. Fortunately, she was with friends who intervened and guided her away from the situation, which caused anxiety and distress for both of us. We managed to move beyond this experience and have maintained our relationship. We spend a lot of time together, developing a deep emotional connection, and I attempt to encourage her to seek external resources for her anxiety and binge drinking, resulting in noticeable progress. Towards the end of last year, she became extremely intoxicated with the housemate who previously acted inappropriately while drunk, with whom she had the aforementioned romance. We had discussed her attending a gathering that night, and I aimed to prepare her mentally to either abstain from drinking or consume alcohol moderately, with plenty of water breaks to avoid excessive intoxication. The following morning, she woke up and texted me that she had blacked out and found herself in the housemate's bedroom. She was on her menstrual cycle, and there was no evidence of anything serious happening, yet she had no recollection of how she ended up in his bed or what may have transpired. Her boyfriend, who lives there, informed her that she had passed out in the hallway and that her housemate had treated her roughly, picking her up and taking her to his room, an account he did not seem particularly troubled by. This situation speaks volumes about her boyfriend and their relationship, which incensed me. She and I spent the entirety of that day and the next discussing the incident over messages. Those 2 days were extremely challenging for me. I was already furious at how casually she appeared to overlook these past inappropriate interactions, especially pursuing the guy again, and was troubled by the fact that she continued residing there. She felt dejected and fearful at the possibility that something nefarious had occurred or that she had been exploited, but was too intimidated to confront him. During those 2 days, I was overwhelmed with anger at the circumstance, the individuals involved, and felt deep sadness for her. It made me physically ill, and I felt lost on how to process those emotions. In the hours following her revelation, I was trembling with rage and uncertain how to handle it. My instinct was to confront him and demand she leave, yet I did not want to interfere in her life or act on her behalf, as I believe people should make their own decisions, and I am not inclined to play the knight in shining armor. I would prefer she take action independently. After this incident, I expressed to her that I felt unsure of how to proceed, acknowledging that I viewed her as a victim though a willing one. I had no intention of ending our relationship over this, as that would feel unjust, but indicated that without seeing her make positive choices in her life to leave that environment and address her binge drinking, I could not continue coping with the stress her decisions were creating for me. I offered my support for her efforts, but made it clear that she had to put in the work herself. Positively, she has been making incremental progress. I observe her making better choices, spending considerable time away from her problematic house, and our bond is deepening. We are likely falling in love. That brings us to the present. While there are many positive aspects in our relationship, recent weeks have presented challenges. Throughout everything, I have implored her to value herself, establish boundaries, and not permit others to violate them, particularly given her past experiences. I had thought she was maintaining a respectful distance from this problematic housemate after the incident at the end of last year, but I discovered after New Year's that their friendship remained strong. I noticed they were sharing conversations on Snapchat while she showed me something on her phone. We attended a gathering together on the same day where she promised to manage her drinking, yet I spent the entire evening attempting, unsuccessfully, to slow her down as she secretly sought out more alcohol. Ultimately, she became severely intoxicated in my presence, requiring that I carry her home and into bed, where she experienced a difficult night with distressing dreams and odd remarks. At some point that day, I checked her Snapchat log when she let me use her phone. I didn't observe anything particularly alarming, merely trivial and inconsequential messages, but I was more troubled by her involvement in maintaining Snapchat streaks and chatting with this individual, when, under the circumstances, it seemed inappropriate for her to remain close with him. On point, yes, I acknowledge that I was entirely wrong to invade her privacy in this manner, and my actions contribute to the problem. I typically do not act this way, but I find myself irrational and easily agitated by emerging concerns, unable to quell my paranoia. I also scrolled enough to discover that on the day of the preceding blackout incident, while reassuring me in person that she would moderate her drinking, she had simultaneously messaged him about her eagerness to drink that night, even stating, "I just finished engaging in oral sex, and am done, so I will be home shortly," which struck me as extraordinarily strange, a severe invasion of my privacy, hypocritical considering I accessed her private messages at that time. I saw that the morning after the blackout event, when she was communicating with me regarding what had transpired. She had taken a screenshot of part of our conversation where I was expressing frustration that she and her housemates needed to mature and stop allowing such occurrences, and sent it to this problematic housemate with the message, "You got me in trouble." I believe her when she insists she does not have romantic feelings for this individual. Rather, she craves the indulgence of drinking, and he is one of the few people she can engage in that behavior with. Unfortunately, he encourages and instigates it. I nearly ended our relationship then and there. I felt irrationally overwhelmed by the situation, which drove me to invade her privacy. Additionally, I disliked the person I was becoming as a direct result of my findings, which felt entirely bizarre and wrong. I sense, and perhaps still sense, confusion regarding the dynamic between her and this individual. I want to emphasize that I do not believe she harbors any sexual or romantic interest in him. Nevertheless, I directed prolonged anger towards him regarding the night of the blackout, only to later discover her explicit dialogue with him, discussing our sexual encounter moments after it occurred. Moreover, where I had previously assumed he had gotten her drunk, I discovered she was instigating drinking with him. This led me to question if he was not entirely culpable. However, on reflection, I firmly believe he is responsible given his inappropriate actions while she was incapacitated. We survived that event, barely, through extensive discussions, but it has been a rough few weeks since. Currently, if I am aware she is not with me, and is socializing with her housemates and consuming alcohol, I find myself experiencing mild PTSD, like symptoms stemming from the previous significant blackout incident, and its associated uncertainty regarding her resulting situation. It could be as simple as receiving a photograph of a meal with her housemates that includes alcohol in front of her, and I am instantly transported back to the moment she informed me that she had been taken to another man's bedroom and had no recollection of what transpired. I become extremely upset or horrified, my protective instincts surface, and I feel compelled to confront the situation. I obsess over the scenario, imagining she could have had one drink, then two, then 10, leading to her blacking out in her housemate's bedroom, risking exploitation or worse. This thought process makes me feel nauseous and mildly tremulous with anxiety or anger. I am not even certain which. This is not characteristic of me, and it is unhealthy for my well-being. Despite everything, when we are together amounting to more than half the week, I am utterly infatuated with her, filled only with affection and desire. We engage in fantastic sexual encounters, share enjoyable experiences, converse for extended periods in bed, and I care for her deeply. She is intelligent, beautiful, and would have a brilliant future if she could adopt a more sensible and mature approach. I genuinely believe she reciprocates these feelings, but she expresses feelings of entrapment both within her living environment and with her addictions, habits, and anxieties. She mentions intentions to end her relationship with her boyfriend and move away from her current living situation, and while I trust her intentions, I feel uneasy knowing how dependent she is on that setup and question how she will make any meaningful change without it. I do not want to fill the void of her friends and have her become reliant on me. What if we were to break up for any reason? I would feel terrible, as if I had separated her from her friends and then left her alone. I recognize that if I end this relationship now, it could lead to a more severe crisis for her. I fear she would revert to regular binge drinking as before, putting her around people who ultimately disregard her dignity and safety, resulting in further detrimental situations for her. I am haunted by the prospect of her starting a genuine connection with this troubling housemate, which would leave me feeling sick to my stomach. Equally, I do not wish to end this relationship, as I have developed deep feelings for her that would cause me pain. However, what complicates this, and what I have never experienced before, is the complete turmoil that her circumstances are causing me personally. I consider myself a stable individual. Simple actions, such as having a drink at home, which she should be able to engage in without my distress, leave me feeling uneasy and paranoid. When I express my emotions to her, she apologizes profusely for adding stress to my life, voicing her fears that I will end our relationship, though she acknowledges I would have justification due to how much of a burden she feels she is on me. Then, I begin to doubt myself and feel that my concerns are excessive, leading me to consider whether I am behaving as a controlling or jealous person. I have already invaded her privacy and abhorred myself for doing so, vowing it would not occur again, yet will I falter under pressure. Probably because it appears I am not acting rationally. At this rate, it is likely only a matter of time before I confront her housemates and create further chaos. Overall, I trust her immensely. However, when I suspect she may be around alcohol or her problematic housemates, I trust her only to get inebriated and expose herself to compromising situations, or at best, be taken advantage of for her generous nature. At times, I wonder if I am embroiled in a proxy battle for this girl with individuals who merely exploit her and fail to appreciate her value. I have experienced 2 long-term relationships and numerous short-term ones, all of which were quite fulfilling, free of drama, and concluded on relatively positive notes. I have never faced a situation like this or endured such prolonged turmoil over someone. In summary, I am feeling overwhelmed on a regular basis. I would greatly appreciate a third-party perspective on this situation, particularly from anyone who has navigated a relationship with someone struggling with addiction or binge drinking, leading to trust issues. I feel that ending our relationship would equate to judging her for something that warrants my support, which is not who I am yet. I am genuinely beginning to struggle in ways I am unaccustomed to. I wish to remain strong, and though I can often persevere through challenges, I desperately want her in my life. Nonetheless, I loathe the person I am becoming, and I refuse to attempt to forcefully change her circumstances. If you believe I am merely being dramatic or irrational, please say so. I frequently question myself, wondering, am I the villain here? In brief, the woman I am with struggles with binge drinking, which leads to severe consequences, and she continues to place herself in situations that risk her safety with people who have proven untrustworthy. This upsets me to the extent that I am uncertain whether to choose my care for her and maintain my commitment, or to protect myself from potential disaster by ending things now. Story 2. Is F25, my BFM27 level of friendliness and interaction with other women normal? I have been intermittently involved with this man for nearly 1.5 years. We are colleagues, and prior to him disclosing his feelings for me, I observed that he was quite the flirt in the workplace. It seemed as though he flirted with anyone who had female biological traits, which initially made me disinterested in him. This changed when they relocated his desk close to mine, and he became very determined to get to know me. I resisted, almost to the point of rudeness, as my nature is more reserved and private. However, as time passed, I began to open up to him. At the start, I even sought his relationship advice regarding my previous breakup. We maintained a strictly platonic relationship. Eventually, he began to flirt intensively with me. He would compose love letters and later downplay them as jokes. I never took him seriously and stayed cautious, but over time, he assured me he had genuine feelings for me. By that point, he had already spent months, jokingly, claiming that I was perfect for him, that he adored my voice, and so forth. Initially, I was skeptical, but eventually I came to believe him. He began treating me to breakfast nearly every day. We looked out for one another at work, and we engaged in playful banter consistently. As our connection deepened, I found myself unable to fully embrace commitment. I was honest about it. I had many personal issues to deal with, and I couldn't provide him with the same attention outside of work that I did during work hours. Not because I didn't want to, but because I was still worried about being hurt, having just experienced betrayal. Additionally, I struggled to create the emotional space necessary to fully invest. He was not without flaws. Either we encountered several challenges that caused me to hesitate. One significant issue arose when he suddenly grew distant, only to later confess he was having doubts about dating someone from another racial background. That deeply hurt me, and it took us weeks to have an honest conversation before he admitted that he had reconsidered and realized it wasn't fair to me. Another time, following our first kiss and increased physical intimacy, but no sexual relations yet, he pulled away again without explanation, leaving me to wonder what went wrong. These incidents made me more cautious, and when coupled with my personal struggles, family and financial issues, I could not provide him with the level of attention he desired. Eventually, a breaking point was reached. He sat me down and informed me that he was choosing to end things. It shattered my heart. I internalized everything and ended up excessively apologizing, essentially pleading for another chance. By that time, however, he had grown emotionally distant. He explained that since time had been a significant trigger for him, due to past heartbreak, my hesitations and perceived lack of effort outside of work had eroded his trust. I never intended to make him wait or endure pain. I was loyal to him, just emotionally reserved, but to him, it felt as if I had betrayed him. After the breakup, we began seeing each other again. He invited me over to his new residence, which, ironically, is merely 5 minutes away from mine. One evening, while we were watching a movie, he pulled me onto him for the first time in months. Having longed for his affection, I eagerly accepted. That night, we engaged in sexual intimacy for the first time. We were not in a relationship, nor was there any genuine clarity between us. The following day, things reverted to being awkward and distant, which broke my heart anew. As time passed, we attempted to repair our connection. We spent more time together and have since been intimate numerous times. However, he still does not exhibit the same warmth and attention he used to show me. I feel as though he no longer regards me with the same affection, and I worry that, despite my efforts, I will never regain his love and trust. I invite him to various activities, and I have invested significant amounts of money into thoughtful gifts for him. Yet, when Christmas arrived, he gave me a few random, thoughtless gifts, one of which he admitted was a regift. That stung, but I remained silent because I didn't want to appear ungrateful or initiate an argument. I have come to realize that I now emulate the behaviors he once exhibited toward me, while he has taken on my initial demeanor, distant and guarded. His extreme lack of physical and verbal affection has left me feeling incredibly insecure. To exacerbate matters, he continues to be very friendly and, in my view, flirtatious with other women. He does not attempt to conceal it at times. He behaves this way even when I am present because he genuinely believes it is innocent. I have raised this issue multiple times, but it invariably leads to arguments. The last time, he stated that he does not believe we are compatible. Most of his friends are women, and a couple of them are individuals he has previously dated, though he insists they are merely friends now. Furthermore, He is about to invite a 23-year-old college student to move in with him to assist with his mortgage, and he is seeking 2 additional roommates. I recognize it sounds insecure, but I cannot shake off my unease about him cohabiting with a younger, attractive college girl. He possesses an undeniable charm, is naturally flirtatious, and receives romantic advances daily at work. His direct messages are consistently full, and he frequently makes new best friends after a single encounter. Just recently, he met his new neighbor, a single older woman, and they conversed for an hour. He even offered to assist her with her gardening. All of this has left me feeling insecure, hopeless, and terrible. I have given him my heart, my body, my time, and my resources, yet I feel as if he could abandon me at any moment. He maintains that he is faithful and has even demonstrated to me that he declines certain direct messages, but I dislike that he still plays with fire and gives others the impression that he is available. I am quite the opposite. He is aware of this. I have one male friend, and I am not flirtatious in the slightest. He never worries about me. However, there was an incident when a male coworker spoke to me regularly, and he became jealous and angry only to later pretend that it did not bother him. The apparent double standard feels extremely unfair, and I could elaborate further on this. The current issue is that just yesterday, I once again addressed his lack of affection right after he playfully greeted another female coworker in my presence. I expressed that it hurt my feelings. I detest feeling like an insecure high school girl, but it is weighing heavily on me. He erupted in frustration, almost with disgust, and did not even give me our usual handshake before leaving work. I sense he now views me as jealous and insecure, believing I will never overcome this issue. I continue to assert that if he simply exhibited the same level of affection now that he demonstrated in the beginning, I would not feel so affected by his interactions with other women. But he remains unresponsive. He told me he does not feel the same about me since our breakup. Naturally, all of this transpires just before Valentine's Day. I attempted to apologize without dismissing my concerns, but he has not yet replied. Meanwhile, today, he is busy showing his future female roommate around, and my heart is breaking. I genuinely want this relationship to thrive, but I am at a loss for how to proceed. I do not know how to make him love and trust me once more. I do not know how to come to terms with the lack of affection while still being expected to engage in sexual relations whenever he desires, especially now that he will have a female roommate, which might alter the dynamics entirely. On top of everything else, I had to take emergency contraception 2 days ago, leading to my emotions and hormones feeling completely out of balance. I endeavored to explain this to him, but it was clear he did not regard that reason as valid. I am uncertain about what steps to take next. I am still waiting for his response. Summary: his natural flirtation is leading to considerable insecurities for me. He wished for this behavior even before we initially broke apart, refer to above. Now, with his complete lack of affection and time dedicated to me, it is making the situation increasingly challenging and evident. Specific examples of his borderline flirtatious behavior and interactions with other women include regularly engaging in playful greetings and banter with female coworkers, visiting a newfound female friend's house at 1 a.m. to assist in mounting her television, just the 2 of them, going to a past lover's home to have his hair styled at 11 a.m. and staying until 1 or 2 p.m. She is the sole person permitted to manage his hair. He is a black man, so it requires more time. Frequently FaceTiming and conversing on the phone with 2 female friends in particular, while hardly ever calling or video chatting with me. Acting completely stoic around me, yet becoming the life of the party with his friends. His female friends noting how he consistently provokes them during board games through constant playful banter. Giving warm embraces to his female friends while rarely hugging me. Approaching a female coworker so closely that, after I addressed it with him and he listened, he did not return for 3 days. When he did, she came up upset, nearly in tears, confused about his silence. He had also previously given her a ride to lunch, which was the tipping point for our confrontation, and would spend hours speaking to her as she shared personal secrets and relationship drama. She would also attempt to touch him affectionately. The fact that I had to be the one to intervene frustrated me immensely. He explained to me that he would never consider her as a partner since she has too much personal drama and no vehicle, which would represent a downgrade from me. Nonetheless, he enjoyed their conversations, labeling her as good company, which is incomprehensible to me. He possesses such charm and flirtatiousness that numerous customers feel comfortable giving him their contact information, some even writing it down as if we were back in elementary school, offering to assist his new single neighbor with anything she might need since she lives alone, claiming he needs her help with flower boxes he intends to create.